Cool. Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, perfect. This is working. Amazing. So I hope you've had a good time at eBay Open so far. I am super excited to welcome you to this evolving world of refurb and recommerce. So my name is Saloni Shah, and I look after refurbished on eBay. And over the past few years, we've noticed how buyer perception has evolved for value, sustainability, and what was once a niche market has now become one of the fastest growing segments on eBay. So we've got an amazing panel of experts here. So with me, we have Will Charnley, who who is the director for refurbished and hard goods in the UK. We've got Paul Lever, who is the director at Cheapest Electrical, and they are one of our top-selling sellers within refurbished. And we have Arvin Yousefi, who is the seller development manager within consumer electronics. So why don't we get right into the panel? So my first question is to you, Will. Over the last 3 years, eBay refurbished has been live. Have you noticed a shift in buyer perception and trends? And can you give us any more insights on that?
Well, I'm in week 13 of being back at eBay for my second stint, so I'm still in a learning curve, but one thing that has become really clear to me very quickly is that refurb is growing and growing really fast and continues to do so at eBay. In our 2024 Recommerce report, 40% of our global GMV now at eBay is either pre-loved or refurbished, so it's really continuing to grow very quickly. I think there's three kind of big reasons for this. Number one, as we all know, the macroeconomic conditions mean that the buyer need for value and the buyer need to access great brands and premium brands at a great price is never been more prevalent. So we see a lot of inventory and buyers meeting on eBay to access those great brands, and we have obviously some great brands and sellers in the room today. We've seen that particularly most recently in the iPhone 17 launch, where we saw a huge amount of supply and demand on the market, not just for new, but mainly for refurbed 16s and 15s and so on, and particularly for iPhone models that Apple actually don't even stock anymore. So we can see that kind of supply and demand accessing really quickly. So macro, number one. Number two, we continue at eBay to address buyer trust levels in refurb, and trust is definitely being really positively actioned, I think, both from a seller side in terms of those sort of seller protections and some of the eBay protections that we provide, but also in the way we badge, in the way we're listing, in the way we're providing the right photography. So we're really seeing buyer trust being a prevalent part, and it's definitely something on my mind as we continue to build that sort of proposition going forward. So we're addressing trust. And then the third element in terms of refurb growth is where we're venturing into what we call emerging and new categories of refurbished. So some of those are simply where there are new technologies that will have launched in the last kind of couple of years, where they're now seeing their first kind of cycle of refurb coming through. So two examples there are smart home as an example, and the other area that we're sort of really growing quite quickly is, believe it or not, golf clubs. So there are some quite key emerging categories for us that are really stimulating growth, and buyers are feeling much more confident in buying into those categories, partly because of the trust levels and partly because they're coming back to us as a platform and really kind of investing in their refurbished.
Amazing. Thank you, Will. And Paul, from your perspective as a seller, have you seen the trends evolve for buyers within refurbished?
Yeah, so I think we've been selling now on eBay for 25 years. So we've seen it from the very beginning, where people's perceptions of refurbished goods there was a lack of trust in them. Inherently, they believed there might be some kind of fault with them. They weren't sure really about what they were. And don't get me wrong, we've sold really successfully for 25 years. But the people that we saw were buying products back then probably had more of a need to buy those items and might not have bought one of those items if they weren't at the discounted prices. Over time, especially as mobile phones have gone up in value as well, people have got a lot more of an understanding about what a refurbished item means, and their trust has grown. We see lots of repeat buyers coming year in, year out, upgrading their models of phones, and they're getting what they've asked for. So I think that, along with the 60-day money-back guarantees that we offer, your warranties that you get, the refurbished categories now that really align and let people understand exactly what the grade is of the item that they're going to get, means that people are now very financially savvy. They're very into the sustainability side of an item. So they're much more, this is a very much more a thing now for people beyond just needing to buy it. I think of it personally, people think of it more like when people buy a new car, people buy a second-hand car, and I think that people are more like, I'll let somebody else buy the new item, lose that initial money on it, and I'll pick up the bargain afterwards.
Yeah, that's really insightful from your perspective as well as a seller. Just on the pathway of Recommerce, so Will, I know we've launched certified open box. Can you tell us more about how is it different from used listings or the regular open box listings?
So, having come from retail twice, I know how frustrating it is to have open box returns. You're a retailer, you want to sell at full price, you're selling new, customer doesn't want it, pushes it straight back to you, and then you can't recover that full RRP. That's really frustrating. So we find that we want to be an exit strategy and a pathway to you to recovering as much of your RRP as possible, and for sellers in the room that kind of facilitate that, how do we really extract that value? So open box is a really brilliant way for buyers to gain those kind of really premium products, but also to kind of make sure that as eBay, certified open box is a program where we're really recognizing that category, and it is definitely one of the fastest growing parts of our non-new product space in refurbished and home technology. So what we're trying to do is really elevate brands and sellers that are delivering consistently on their supply, but also in their standards, and that have really clear propositions to the customer around those basic hygienes on returns and delivery. And I know, Arvin, you're going to describe a little bit more about how you actually get involved in open box or certified open box.
Thanks, Will. So before I get into how you launch or get part of the certified open box program, I just want to reiterate a little bit around why it is so important, and I want to just focus on three key elements to this. So first of all, you can offer great value for pristine products, which Will has touched on. You can offer affordable prices for new models without compromising on quality, which is super important. The second point is around building that buyer confidence through badging on the site. This is a crucial point because with the badging on your listings, you get that credibility, you get the trust, you get the confidence from shoppers, and this will really enhance brand presence on eBay as well. And lastly, it's just easy to list. When you have open box, just list it on site and you're ready to go. Now, in terms of how you get part of the certified open box program, this is a really important 5 points to make on this. So, number one, make sure you are above standard. Your overall seller health is really important to build trust. Number two, make sure that you are listing under opened, never used as an item condition, not new other. Number three, make sure you are offering free 30-day returns and free delivery. Again, building that core value proposition in place. And number four, make sure your SNADs, i.e. your item not as described, is below 4%. This is, again, a really crucial factor because you want to build that confidence with shoppers as well. And last but not least, make sure your INRs are below 1%. Once you've hit this criteria, you'll be auto-enrolled in the Certified Open Box program, and all of the badging will be in place and set and ready to go.
Amazing. Thanks, Arvin. I think generally we've had a lot of sellers come up to us and ask us about how can we make our listings better to be on top of search. So Paul, it'll be good to understand from your perspective, what are the key elements that you use within your listings that make them really great listings?
I think there's probably some obvious ones in for people, which is use all of your title. Don't be tempted to put stars and exclamations and things like that in, but you've got all the characters there, so it's really important to try and make sure you use all of them. Pictures, lots of pictures, because obviously, as you know, mobile devices, people are really pretty much flicking through the pictures. If there's some specific issue with a device that you want to highlight, take a picture, circle it, make sure that's one of your pictures, because that's a really good way of giving somebody a really good idea of what the condition of the item is without expecting them to scroll through your description or your condition descriptions. I would also recommend so I was going to say seller-initiated offers is a really good way of driving conversions. I think that. One other really important one was item specifics. So use all of the mandatory item specifics you need to put on with your recommended item specifics. Make sure you use them all, because if you're searching through, if somebody searches for an iPhone 16, they'll then go to the filters on the left-hand side. If you don't have one of those item specifics in that relates to one of those filters, then you disappear. Simple as that. So you might not think some of them are important, clicking 5G or something like that. But if somebody does do that and you haven't used that as an item specific, there's a risk that you'll just disappear off the page altogether, and you're really missing out on an opportunity there.
Yeah, that's really insightful. And for sellers trying to get into Recommerce selling, were there any challenges that you faced initially that you can share with them, and how you overcame them?
Honestly, I think the biggest challenge is not so much about the selling of the item, but being able to get hold of the right stock in the first place. And a lot of the challenge around that, whereas the perception of refurbished has changed among buyers, I'm not sure it's changed amongst manufacturers, retailers completely. And so in an ideal situation, you can get yourself a relationship together with a manufacturer or a retailer or a supplier of the goods, and they will be instinctively nervous of undermining their own brand. And I think you need to make sure that you are explaining to them that you're not taking a sale away from something from their own site. You're offering a whole new marketplace to a whole new range of customers that they are not exploring at the moment. And by doing that, you can really highlight to them that they are not putting their brand at risk. But make sure as well that you're taking into account any of the concerns that they have specifically about their brand, because a lot of those can also be mitigated in the listings. Some brands really like you to put their brand name on there, and we have a branded store for Tesco Outlet. Other manufacturers don't want that, and that's absolutely fine. But it's just about them understanding that you're not taking a sale away. You're actually growing their market overall.
Yeah, that's perfect. And when it comes to seeing results, Arvin, are there any seller dashboards that sellers can use to track progress and growth?
So reporting is always a popular topic, and I'm sure sellers in the room are always wondering what are the most important reporting tools to use. So I'm going to focus on 3 key reporting tools. Number 1 is the refurbished dashboard in itself. Number 2 are service metrics and how you can utilize those and do what's right for your business. And then number 3 is the ads dashboard, which you can use to optimize your refurbished listings as well. So with the refurbished dashboard, once you're in the refurbished dashboard, you can see your metrics in comparison to the program requirements and see how you're trending on a monthly basis. You can filter by condition, you can filter by category, and this will allow you to identify what is causing the kind of decline or anything that you want to look into further. You can also look at your refurbished sales at transaction level as well, which is useful for you to see and track sales. Now with service metrics, this is a really, really crucial tool. When you go into your service metrics, you can see your SNADs and you can see your INRs. But most importantly, you can see how you benchmark versus your peer group in the category that you're selling in. if you are high or very high within a certain SNAD rate or a category, you can download the report and use this to identify what is the root cause. So what I mean by this is you could have defective items that are causing your SNAD rate to go down, or it could be that you've got damaged items, or it's not matching to your listings. This is a really, really helpful tool to see. Once you have this in place, you can then build an action plan off the back of this and, for example, bring into play live photos. You can make sure that your listing titles and the condition, they match, which is really important from a customer perspective as well. Last but not least, the ads dashboard. This can be used to really optimize your refurbished listings in the campaigns that are important to you. So PLP, or promoted listings priority, can be used to target specific keywords in search and use that to get top of search and increase visibility. So you might have certain refurbished listings that you really want to strategically prioritize, get a good ROAS, and increase impressions as well. And this dashboard will allow you to track and measure campaigns as a result.
Perfect, amazing, thank you so much. And obviously, I'm going to talk about eBay Live. So we've seen the eBay Live van there. There's been a lot of conversations about eBay Live. Can you tell us how does refurb play into the live space?
I think if you haven't heard of eBay Live yet today, then your headphones have probably been on mute. So apologies, it's another live plug. Look, I think Live has a really interesting role for refurb, not least because it's a moment where you're talking to camera and you can describe about your refurb conditions and you can describe about refurbished in more detail and specifically, show the product and show the condition to the potential buyer. So I think from that perspective, at that very basic level, refurb is a very interesting proposition for us on eBay Live. We have run 2 trials on eBay Live so far with refurbished. One seller sold out within the hour, so that was great. And there were probably, I think, one of the largest sets of audiences that came to that refurb live. So that was really encouraging and promising. I think there's 2 kind of really big advantages that we can drive in live for refurb. First of all, where we've got in depth of inventory and exclusivity around certain particularly attractive bits of electronics and home technology, where we've got volume that we can really shift and drive exclusivity around that live show, whether it's pricing, whether it's inventory exclusivity, and really thinking about how we kind of really drive that value in the live show, either through buy it now in the future or in auction at the moment, where we're driving some really brilliant starting price and it's really attracting buyers into that kind of almost gamification of the live show. The other sort of proposition that we're really looking at is where we've got what I would call kind of eBay blue ocean categories, like the golf clubs and like some of the smart home and the new emerging categories, where it just drives real interest and we can start talking around those categories. And it's really what we find there, driving what we call seller community. So Dom's in the corner there from Collectibles. Collectibles would tell us that community is everything for these sellers because they're driving a huge number of followers to their shops, to their brand shops. If we have if you guys as sellers have a live stream that you're kind of going to talk to your buyers regularly, you're building a lot of buyers sort of following into your brand stores. And every time you go out to do your live, it'll push out to them saying, seller X or seller Y is doing a live, and then it brings those buyers into your live show, gets them quite what I like to call sticky, so they retain and hopefully they buy with you. And then we find that if you're then selling something else on your live or just delving into different categories, they're then going to be retained and sort of stick with your brand shop and be interested as you as sellers. So I think there are sort of real points of advantage for live, thinking about interesting and really unique inventory in those kind of emerging spaces. And then for the really core deals, and this is where we're sort of thinking actively around our kind of big activations, as you guys would know, in electronics and home technology, things like Black Friday, Cyber 5, where we have new iPhone launches or new Samsung launches or whatever those might be, big opportunities to do kind of volume live shows where we're really driving units and volume as well as value to the buyer. So I think that ability to bring that theatre to the stage, to talk about refurb, to talk about conditions, how we do that, show the item in its details, show that condition level, really explain that, increase the level of trust of the buyer, and then layer on some really exciting inventory. So I think live's going to be really big. and certainly I can speak from my perspective, I'm really keen to hear from sellers that want to trial it and go with us on the journey, because we're sort of setting out on that, as you can see, right now.
Amazing. And how can sellers be a part of eBay Live? What's the application process?
So the short answer is it's generally talking to one of us, and it's genuinely walking out this room today. If you find myself or one of the eBay Live team or Arvin, or go over to the category stand, we'll absolutely make sure we kind of capture your feedback if you're interested in live. There is actually an application process which we will share shortly. Obviously, it's gone live first with the sort of more natural home spaces in the collectibles and fashion space, but we are following up very quickly on refurb, certainly with a view to doing something more exciting for Black Friday. So yeah, please get in touch.
Amazing. I have one more question for the panel before we move into any audience Q&A. So if you have any questions, then think about it right now. But to wrap it up, what does success look like for sellers within the refurbished space within the next 3 years? Again, Paul and Will would love your take on it.
Well, success over the next 3 years, I think. I think in terms of trust, I think people almost trust a refurbished item as much as they do a brand new item, and I think that the introduction of the refurbished categories goes a long way for people for that uniformity, for people to have an understanding of exactly what it is they're going to receive. So for me, I think over the next 3 years, I think it will be to get as close or not there to somebody having the same level of trust in a refurbished item as they do in a new item, and I think that that's totally feasible now.
Yeah, amazing. And Will, Arvin, any other takes?
I think simply that, regrettably, the macro situation isn't going to change anytime soon, and that non-new and refurbished is where buyers are going to continue to find great value for great brands and really access that product. So we all believe that that's going to continue to grow. We all believe that there's going to be continued buyers and increasing buyer segments coming into this space to purchase. So just to be there, be present with the same inventory, interesting inventory, and be there with the data-driven decisions to price right, get the right listings, and to be really relevant to the buyer.
Amazing. I want to open the floor up to any audience questions. So if anyone has a question, I see your hand.
Hiya, I just wanted to ask if the open box and its badging is open to the furniture category. So is this available in the furniture category?
So yes, it would be open to categories like furniture as well. We are looking always to see how we can expand categories in the refurbished or open box program. So yes, in short, it's available for us to add.
Amazing. Is there any other question? We've got a few questions from the app, so I'm going to read that out. So what are the most common reasons buyers hesitate to purchase refurbished products? And is there anything within the listing conditions that can help differentiate the products? Anyone?
Sorry, give me the question.
Yes. So what are the most common reasons where buyers hesitate to buy refurbished products, and how can sellers address those concerns within their listings, basically?
Well, I think that there's, they're looking for that trust, aren't they? And that is in the seller, in the product. So your feedback is obviously key. I think that beyond that, if they believe they have a good understanding of what it is that they're buying in the first place, they can see from your feedback that you are somebody who does deliver that high level of service, then I think you're pretty much there. So I think if you are covering all of those bases, making sure that you are the cream at the top of lots of other people that are trying to sell those kind of products, then you stand the best chance of that. And I think that's over the years, eBay have introduced lots of different things, all the way back to your metrics at the very beginning, like 20 odd years ago, and a lot of sellers couldn't meet those standards and would disappear from the eBay platform. So I think all of the things that eBay have put in place to make sure that we are increasing the level of what we're offering is for a really good reason. If you can meet it, you're the cream at the top, and you're the people that are, you're the one that people will be buying products from. Yeah.
Amazing.
I think a couple of other points to add in terms of listing optimization as well. So you want to make sure, as I mentioned before, that you have live photos, which is really clear for customers to see. Also reasons to buy, and what I mean by that is how has it been refurbished in-house. This is really important for customers to see this because it builds that trust element as well. And again, just making sure that you've got enough images on your listings which will stand out in search and have the condition to match what is in your first image is also really important. So I think it's important not to underestimate this as well.
Perfect. I think we're almost at time now. But again, thank you so much to the panelists for this insightful session. I hope all of you have enjoyed your time so far at eBay Open and you continue to do so. There is one slide asking for feedback. So again, if there is any feedback on the event, on how you operate on eBay, anything that we can do better, this would be super helpful. And we'll be at the refurbished category stand. So again, catch us if you have any questions, any concerns, anything you love, any frustrations, we're here to help you. Amazing. Thanks so much, everyone.